Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the DramaList podcast. In this episode, I am covering the currently airing drama Blood Free. Well, it's currently airing as of the time of this recording, and it is a drama that is starring Yoon Ja Yoo and Yoon Ja Yoo. This is a drama that I was not gonna watch, honestly. It didn't seem interesting to me, at least, but I thought I would check out the first few episodes and I have been hooked since. So here we are. For those who don't know, Blood Free is basically following the CEO of this company, BF. BF is a company that makes genetically modified beef, right? And so they are not relying on actual animals. So basically think Beyond Meat, but like they've actually perfected it that makes like something like Beyond Meat actually taste like meat, right? And so they've connected the market. She has, I think, maybe 75% of like the market share, which is like massive, right? And so she is the queen of this world, right? Like imagine Beyond Meat actually like was able to corner that much market, right? Like there will be a lot of vultures like just circling around, and that is the case with her, right? She has cornered a market that is extremely competitive, extremely established, and a lot of people have problems with this, right? I mean, you can imagine, right? I mean, the food industry is easily the biggest. It's not even just food. I think it's other things that she's also dipping her hand into, right? And so you imagine that for a lot of people, a lot of people, right, across globes, right, this is what their livelihood is about. And she has threatened that by being able to make lab-grown meat, right? And that is why she needs protection, right? That's where our male lead comes in. And I say male lead, I hate to use that word in this case because technically there's no like romance, and when I use the word male lead, it makes me feel like I'm talking about like a romance kind of thing. There is no romance in this, or I don't think there will be. But anyways, that is where Chae Woon comes in, right? And Chae Woon is, I mean, interesting name. I feel like that is a girl's name. Does that give anybody that like girl vibe? Like the name does not sound unisex for some reason to me. But like it sounds like that girl from the Seraphim. Her name is, I feel like it's similar anyway, right? But anyways, in comes Chae Woon, who is this ex-military turned bodyguard character that, you know, is hired for the job, right? And so that's basically what our story is about. That's basically them working through stuff together, right? What makes it interesting, I think, for me is that everybody has the thing that they are working for. Everybody has their own motives to do things. And I mean, people's motives, some are more clear than others. For example, Chae Woon, right? We know that he took on the job as a bodyguard to kind of find out whether she had anything to do with the bombing that happened that killed his friend and, you know, crippled the previous president. So that is why he's been asked to infiltrate her company and get close to her, right? That is his own motive, right? And even the people that are asking him to do something, they all have their own motive, right? And so this makes for a very interesting drama. It makes for a riveting drama, and I am really into it. Now, just to talk about the cast a little bit. Yoon Ja Yoo is playing Chae Woon, right? Yoon Ja Yoo is somebody that I know from Hyena, Gung, Jiri-san. So he's a really popular, well-known actor, right? And Yoon Ja Yoo is also someone that like we all know. Like she was in Moving last year, which I really like. Moving is one of my top dramas of all time, right? And before Moving, I mean, she's been in a lot of things. For me, where I know Han Yoon Ja Yoo best from is actually Iljime. This is back in the day. And also I think Dong Yi, right? So those are like the two dramas I know her from, right? And so she has taken a lot of like roles over the years, and she keeps improving in a lot of ways. I don't know if I like her in this, in that like she's great and everything, she's a great actress, but I don't know if she's what I would have cast, you know, in this. Because her vibe at the end of the day does not give me the vibe I was expecting when I think of Yoon Ja Yoo. But again, she does it well and it's fine and everything. Those two are our like lead cast in this. And just to talk again about the names that they have in this, it's very interesting to me and very like part of the things that makes this drama I guess peculiar is the naming. I don't know, I've watched like a lot of Korean dramas over the years, and there's something about the name Yoon Ja Yoo that I have never ever heard this name before. And I've watched like tons and tons, like thousands of dramas, right? The name Yoon Ja Yoo, it fits exactly what I would expect to be the CEO of BF. I don't know if that makes sense, but like the minute I heard her name, I was like, oh yeah, this is the boss lady, right? Ucheon too, his name is interesting. Like I said, again, it reminds me of a girl's name, but again, that's just something that's also really peculiar. I like the way they've named the characters in this, and it kind of adds more color, I don't know, in a way, at least for me, to their characters. Now, moving on to the story. When we first start the first episode, Yoon Ja Yoo obviously is not popular with a lot of people for ethical reasons, right? A lot of people believe that, you should not eat lab-grown meat. Some people think that, again, you're ruining their market, and a lot of people are against that, right? She gets into an accident that we later find out that it's actually planned by the Prime Minister and the President, right? The Prime Minister is the grandson of the former president, right? So that is kind of where Chae Woon comes in, right? They're trying to plant him by our side so that, the idea is that he's able to basically find out what happened that caused the accident that left the former president crippled. That is the surface level issue that they pretend that they are doing this for, at least from Chae Woon's perspective. That is what he is going to her for, right? I like this kinds of scenario where like everybody has their ulterior motives, and it is by spending time with one another that they are able to kind of get closer and kind of fight against the ultimate villain, right? Because as of this moment, it seems like Chae Woon is not on our side, right? It seems like all our employees are also maybe or maybe not on our side, right? And so you have that scenario where in a way Yoon Ja Yoo is alone, and you can see that she's very skeptical, very paranoid of people, right? I really like her character because they write her to be very vigilant, right? They wrote her to doubt people, which makes sense for her like position in life, right? I really like the minute they introduced like Yoon Ja Yoo. She was instantly my favorite. There was something about her that was mature, and again, that's something to say like the average age on this like drama between the cast is probably like in the 40s, right, or the 50s, because everybody is over the age of like 30 something, right? And that makes for a very mature, gritty feel of the drama. No one is acting like an high schooler. Nobody is acting in a way that would not make sense for their position, right? Yoon Ja Yoo is the most interesting person because of that, right? Every time she's thinking or doing something, you can tell her motive behind everything, right? You can tell her motive behind every action. You can see kind of how somebody like this would have created something like BF, right? Same for every other person in this to an extent. In this drama, there is little to no comedy. In fact, there's no comedy whatsoever, right? Because this is very serious stuff. Another thing that makes this drama really worthwhile is that, again, despite all these ulterior motives between our leads, you can tell that they will become closer and closer. I like the way this drama has done it in such a way that like every time Yoon Ja Yoo suspects something, she brings it up immediately, right? She is very, very skeptical, very doubtful of Chae Woon, of just how quickly he was able to integrate into her life, right? She is very hyper aware of the fact that he happened to be exactly at the right place at the right time to save her, to have the experience she needed, to be able to know about the hacking and the fact that it was not actually the Russians, right? So even though he's helping her, he's able to recognize that that is very odd. Too many things cannot be that much of a coincidence, and she was right to think so. Now, for Chae Woon, right, he comes in because he wants to know whether she has something to do with the bombing that happened, right? Because she was one of the one of the 6 executives that were on the plane with the president, right? And while 2 of them died, and so they're kind of out of the picture and out of the, I guess, doubting eye, the remaining 4 are still like suspect, right? And so he's basically been working to kind of figure out what she knows. That's, I guess, his goal, right? Is she the one that kind of worked to get that bombing done because the president was against her like project and was not like gonna help her pass a few laws that would make it easier for her to do her job, right? And so he's obviously working to figure that out, right? But like you can also tell that he's becoming more and more empathetic and sympathetic towards her, and you can tell, and I just know in future he's going to be our biggest protector, right? She's going to get a real protector out of him, right? And I just like that. Now, like, there's something going on in the background, in the sense that for Woo Chae Woon, like I mentioned, he has a very clear motive, whereas for the president, we assume that's also the motive because he was left basically without like legs. He was disabled and cannot walk, right? And so we expect that that's also his motive for sending Woo Chae Woon, right? Basically revenge. Go and find out if she had anything to do with this, right? In fact, he says that I am sure she has something to do with this, right? So go and figure it out because we need to bring her down, right? But as time passes, we see that between him and his grandson, the prime minister, there's actually more to this, right? Something that Woo Chae Woon does not know about, and that is something to do with Yoon Ja Yoo's research that the public does not have privy to, right? We see that for Yoon Ja Yoo and a colleague, this is the source of conflict, right? She used our colleague's wife as a guinea pig for our project. So something about our project has to do with human experiment, right? And I guess maybe prolonging human like life or solving diseases kind of thing. Because from what we can tell, between the former president and the prime minister, they are both sick in some way, right? We see those scenes where they are like injecting like something in them, right? And so obviously the reason why they are going after Yoon Ja Yoo is not actually because she had anything to do with the bombing that happened. It's because they want a research, right? And so they're finding a way or looking for a way to get that or to steal that, and that's why they need him. He doesn't know that, but that's what it is, right? The same goes for the prime minister's dad, right, who is like this conglomerate head, right? He's also wanting to buy the company. I think in his own case, he just wants the company because it's worth a lot of money, right? But you can tell a lot of people, a lot of vultures are circling her, wanting their own piece of something, right? I don't know why they decided to go this route and why they did not just ask Yoon Ja Yoo for help, right? Given that she's the one that knows the research and everything, right? But I mean, this is the way they've decided to do it, and you know, they are going to do whatever it takes to bring her down so that they can get that research out of her, right? And I look forward to Woo Chae Woon figuring that out so that he's able to better protect her, because she needs serious protection. You can tell that a lot of these things are taking a toll on her over the years. She appears very strong in the first few episodes, but as time goes on, you see flashbacks where like she's been like beat like really badly, right? She was ganged up against and like they like really beat her, right? And so, you know, she's gone through this moment, the bombing as well. Like these are all things that she has had to go through because of these people, right? And so, you know, she's also exhausted, also very tired, also very scared, right? Even though she doesn't show it a lot of the times, right? And so I really look forward to Woo Chae Woon becoming that protector, because while she is very smart, she does not have that like ability to protect herself in the way that Woo Chae Woon, I think, would be able to protect her better. And you know, two heads is better than one. Together they will be much stronger, and I look forward to that. And maybe she can also try and figure out who caused the bombing, because you know, for Woo Chae Woon, that is the major like part of why he, you know, is with her, right? And so maybe they can work on that together as well. So I really look forward to that. That's, I think, the major part that I am looking forward to, for them to clear the misunderstandings, because for now, up till now, you can tell that Yoon Ja Yoo does not trust him, right? And he keeps lying as well. And he's really good at it, right? But you can tell slowly they are trusting one another, right? And I look forward to when they finally do, because yeah, again, there will be a force to be reckoned with. Now, there's something to be said about the fact that there's no romance in this, right? And even though there's no romance in this, I see a lot of romantic potential. Have you guys noticed that like it's always the dramas that have no romance that have the most like heart fluttering romantic moments? Law School is a good example of this, and there are a bunch of other dramas like that that like you don't have romance explicitly, but you have moments that just like are so nice that they even beat like the romance that you've watched, right? And so this drama has that, in that they do certain actions very effortlessly that makes them seem like a couple, right? So there's a scene where, I mean, Woo Chae Woon has not been working in that company for more than like 3 days, right? But like you see that scene where Yoon Ja Yoo's like colleague, the one that people think likes her, that wears glasses and everything, he comes in and basically is Yoon Ja Yoo and Chae Woon just being domestic, like eating breakfast together and everything, and it's just so funny because it's very effortless, and I really like that about this drama, right? So it's not explicit romance, it's not anything that I confessing love anything. They are both adults, right? That just happen to kind of work well and have this synergy together, and so I really like that about this drama as well, and I hope it keeps being that way, because I think that like Chae is not married. He has, I think, a sister and a niece or something like that, and that is the picture we saw. And so it's not like he has any romantic like involvement with someone else, which makes sense given the fact that he's looking for revenge for the death of his like colleague and friend, right? So yeah, that is one final thing I will mention, that it's just so sweet to see that little moment of care and just tenderness between them, that you just know that's going to be amazing when they finally get to that point where they actually trust each other completely, right? And so yeah, this drama is worth watching. The first 4 episodes are already so good, so I can imagine what the next episodes will bring, right? And so if you're not watching this drama, I highly recommend you check it out, because it is worth your time, right? And Hyoju and Ji-hoon are very good in this, right? And they deserve all the attention. I hope it keeps getting better. I feel like it's gonna keep getting better, right? But yeah, that's it for my review of Blood Free. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and I'll see you again next week. Have a nice one. Bye.